Welcome back to the Self-Love Fitness Project podcast, where we are redefining what it means to be fit mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and of course physically as well. See, this podcast is all about bringing an idea that's a little bit different than what we're used to when it comes to the fitness industry. We want to change what it means to be fit. And we want to talk about everything involved. And our guest today, Andrew, Authentically Andrew, really seems to do that. He did it for me, and he talks about spirituality, how to live with a little bit more ease and peace. And I think this is valuable for a lot of us, especially with the pandemic going on. Many of us are in fear states, or many of us are, maybe worried about a job, or maybe just regular stress that some of us might go through. And so he's very helpful for this in this episode. It's a shorter episode, but trust me, just as valuable, and you'll see why in a minute. I'm excited for you guys to dive in, and thank you guys for supporting this podcast. Without further ado, let me introduce you to Authentically Andrew. I want to start by just saying Authentically Andrew, dude, that drew me in right away. I mean, my big thing personally, and I know a lot of people in our community, their big thing is man, I feel like I can't express myself. I feel scared to express myself, and there's just a lot of fear around being a little bit more open, being a little bit more out there, and being okay with, having people not respond to you or not respect that. Mm-hmm. And, I just want to know what authenticity means to you, and kind of how you've come into your own, and how you might continue to come into your own on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. So authenticity to me, I'd say, just, and the simplest way is just being yourself, I think a big thing I worked through was this, almost like a people pleasing thing. So yeah. It's because I do have this desire to really help people and bring happiness and joy and all of that to people. But sometimes it was at the sacrifice of myself. So it's I think it's really just being yourself. Even if you might, you might trigger people. You might.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So just being yourself.
I mean, dude, that's beautiful. I mean, I'll be honest, for you to say that is really easy. For me to actually go do it is tough. For me, something that's tough for me is to fully express myself in front of, even people that I know, to kind of even as an example, just so people kind of know what I mean when I say express myself. Even things like saying my real points of view passionately, dancing is a great way to singing, any kind of expressive form. It's difficult, and there's some energy or some force inside of me that is fearful and doesn't want me to do that. Yeah. So it's tough to do. So how have you found that you've been able to do that, or to overcome this fear of expressing yourself, being authentic?
Yeah, that's actually, definitely, because I've definitely gone through the same thing myself, even just recently so I also, before I went on TikTok and so there's pretty much two things I'm really passionate about and love doing, which is, one is music, and the other is
no way, cool.
Helping people. Yeah. So helping people and doing this, with expressing, making the videos. So with music, it definitely was difficult, because that's a real creative, kind of vulnerable. You're really putting yourself out there. And I think the biggest thing that helped me was kind of putting, because at first it was this fear of oh, what are people gonna think? What are people even gonna like me for, for the full expression? And then it's you start to. Even starting on Authentically Andrew, but then you start to be oh, actually people resonate. People actually enjoy this, and little by little you see that it's not so bad. So I think that first leap of faith to just put it out there and see is, you just have to just trusting, and that first step. Yeah.
I want to go back to trusting in a second, because that's something that I find is difficult to do as well, and I think people could relate to that. It's funny. I remember this was about 2 weeks ago, I think. I posted this really nice picture of myself. I looked good. I had all the best lighting. I was looking awesome. And in the caption, I had a very sort of a vibe that's I've got it all figured out in a way. I talked about my journey, but it was very much I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. And not a lot of people resonated with that. I didn't get a great response from it. And honestly, when I posted it, I felt ooh, this doesn't feel totally authentic. Okay. And then a day or two later, I post a raw vlogging video, no editing, no special lights, nothing, but it was just me being real about I'm actually struggling with this thing. and I want to work on it and I'm not good at it yet. And I got like triple, quadruple, like 20 times the
Wow.
response just from like, it had nothing to do with the lighting. It had nothing to do with how good I looked or appeared to be on the outside. It was about me really just expressing myself. And
Yeah.
it showed me once again that like, even if it's scary to express how we feel, that's like something people can actually connect with, but what people can't connect with is perfection, because that's not real.
Yeah.
So you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and hey dude, I've been the king of that for sure, like my whole, during
Same.
the course of my life. So I want to ask you then, like, to go back to trust, how can we trust and take the first step? Because every time I do, man, it's always the best decision I've ever made. So
Yeah.
how do we trust more and get out of our comfort zone, face our fear?
So I think what you just so once you have a few of those steps you've taken, like you put something new out there or a new idea or a different type of content, and you're like, oh, this did well, and you
Mm-hmm.
start to get like, okay, you get a few different ones that like did well. You're like, okay, now it's happened multiple times where I've trusted. I know that this fear is just coming up because it's something new. It's easier to do that. The first time though, like if someone's like, let's say, take music and they're putting out a song for the first time ever, I think the biggest thing is some kind of, I think, speaking of self-love, just support, whether it's you being kind of your best friend and being like, you know what, like, this is what I wanted to put out, I enjoy it, and like, whether maybe some people like it, maybe some won't, and that's okay, like, I still like it. And just being there for yourself. And then if you do have, just some friends or family that are there to kind of be like at least that first initial support system, because
Yeah.
you're putting this out there to people, like, right, you might have not even met before, and it's like,
Right.
just to have that, at least yourself, and then maybe some other people to help.
Okay, yeah. Is there any place that people can go? Like, would a therapist be a good place to start? Like, because there's people that are listening that might not have that family connection or might not have friends that
Yeah,
they're
no,
comfortable
definitely.
opening up to, but they might be comfortable opening up to a random person like a therapist. So, like, is that a good
Yeah,
place to start? And is there anywhere else that you see people could go to? Maybe in the
yeah.
work that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely, I think therapist, well, of course, see, I'm not too like familiar with there's so many types of therapy and everything.
Right.
So, but definitely, that could be a possibility. But then for people, I feel like sometimes there's this thing with therapy. It's like when you're opening up, you kind of want to feel the connection, right, with someone.
Yeah.
So another option would be, there's also like kind of newer as like life coaching, or even some people do more like even like spiritual coaching. So it's
Mm,
similar to a therapist in a sense where it's like you have someone you can open up to, but more casual in the sense where it's like, oh, you feel like it's not like, so like this is like a professional who's going to uh got their PhD and this, and like
right.
they like, you're not so intimidated by it, you can just sit
Oh
down and
yeah.
talk to someone like that. So that's something I haven't like, that's something I've started. Have worked with a few people and kind of have been, I
Yes.
guess, dabbling in that. Yeah.
Awesome, brother. That's really cool. So you
Mhm.
must. So what I've heard about a lot of therapists is they get into therapy to heal themselves. So was that the same for you? What was your journey like getting into this space of sort of spirituality, emotional trauma healing? How did this begin for you? What was the kind of the driving force behind that decision?
Yeah, so definitely it was, it
Yeah,
was a
it's how
lot.
it goes, man.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like, you know, the biggest thing, I mean, I was always kind of interested in, or I was always kind of one to be like, okay, anything is possible, go for your dreams, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just interested in what life is. And
Mm-hmm.
but really what brought me in there was after a previous relationship I had,
Uh,
and that ended. It just brought up so much stuff, and it was like, you know what, I just want to, heal and make sure, just to enjoy life, and to be the best I can be. Um,
yeah, man. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Hey, man. Well,
So yeah. Oh
oh,
yeah.
go
No, I
ahead.
mean, I can. Um, pretty much like there was, you know, and just in the relationship, I felt like, you know, maybe I couldn't fully be myself or fully be there or fully just enjoy that because of these inner things, right?
Mm,
These inner like beliefs or thoughts or insecurities that were like, oh, you know, if maybe, you know, I do this, or like, you know, like I can't fully be myself because in a sense I'm going to lose love, and at the end of the day it would end
oof.
it anyway, right? So
Right,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Dude, that's interesting that happened for you. I feel I'm really resonating with a lot of what you're saying.
uh,
Um, because I mean, hey, I mean, that was kind of me in my own life. I'm still working on the relationship thing. Like every girl I've ever been with, I've always like gotten insecure about something, and I would just end the relationship because I was afraid of losing love. And
yeah, yeah,
I bring that up just because it's interesting that you know, us feeling good or us achieving something or just getting what we want in life, experiencing what we want has very little to do with the external world. It has a lot to do with, you know, what we're doing inside. So what has your journey inside been? Where did you start? What have been like the main sort of tools that you've used or practices that you've had or experiences you've sought out to heal? Because there's people out here right now that are listening that want to heal but don't know where to start, or
yeah.
they've done some but they don't know where to go next.
Okay, yeah, okay, definitely, yeah. um so I think the number one the number one thing to start is to allow whatever's in there to come up, in a sense like a awareness almost. So like just
Yeah.
being aware and feeling the feeling or allowing what's there to come up, being like, okay, like I have these insecurities, be like, okay, like I have these things. Let me see, you know, like it starts with that first step, and it's like, oh, okay, let me see why I have these, or I have this feeling. Let me
Okay.
go deeper into the feeling. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of that, because a lot of times like when we're, you know, when we're young, we might feel some kind of pain or something, and then it's so intense that we suppress it, and then we hold on to
Oof.
it. So
Yeah.
then the biggest thing is like, okay, just knowing that you have to letting the stuff come to the surface. It's kind of like if you have you have like some glass that is like a dirty glass, right? And you wash it,
Okay.
it's gonna bring that stuff, and it's gonna kind of be dirty in
Ooh.
the water first, but then then it's gonna be clean after. So it's the same idea that you have
Okay.
to actually allow those feelings and thoughts that come up to then kind of let them go and heal through them.
Okay. And when you say that, you mean like allowing the thoughts to come up and like accepting them, like, yes, I feel this thought, like this is real, I
Yeah.
accept this.
Yes, yeah, that's big too. Acceptance, because
Yeah.
there's a whole thing of like even myself going through denial. Yeah, like denial of saying, "Oh, this
Right.
thing's coming up." No, that's not. You know, like almost like a denial of something that you feel. It's like another form of like suppression. So
Mhm.
to allow it and accept it is, I think, acceptance is really, I think, big part of healing, to just
Yeah.
accept it.
I think so too, man. I think especially if you're someone like me, and maybe this was you too, where you're like, you feel like you have to be like happy all the time, or you have to be like, you know, you have to be in like a good mood. And like if something comes up, like some anger or jealousy, it's like, oh, that's not me. That's not me. Like get that away. Like I'm not a jealous person because we
Yeah,
know in our
yeah,
society that jealousy is not very attractive, right?
yes,
Um, and so accepting like that, oh crap, I am feeling jealous right now. That's like a tough pill to swallow if you have
yeah,
like, you know, a lot of pride, like I do. Um, you know, so like what like is there like a practice you could give us maybe that could like help us with acceptance specifically,
yeah,
like bringing like when these feelings come up, like what do we do, man?
yeah. That's good. I mean, to be honest, I've still been, so I definitely learned a lot about, you know, how to bring ourselves up and get ourselves to be in kind of like a higher vibe of like, you know, happiness and peace. And I think I'm still learning through like they call it the shadow in psychology. So
Yeah, yeah.
still learning the process of it. But I'd
Mm-hmm.
say a big thing, and accept, I think a big, maybe people resonate with this, but even just what I did today was just, you know, writing it down, just being like, okay, like I feel this and this about this way, and just not judging yourself, not saying I have to sound like this or this, just writing everything you feel and being like, okay, here it is on paper. I've kind of let it out of myself, and it's just there. So
Interesting.
yeah, so that's just, simple way to start, to just literally write it down and just be like, okay, this is here.
To get it out in some way. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And the nice thing about a journal is like you don't have to show anybody, so like you can go completely no filter. And like
Yeah.
I was watching a video of Ryan Holiday, and
Uh-huh.
he was talking about journaling because Marcus Aurelius, I guess, did a lot of journaling.
Uh-huh.
And in the video, he was, it was like 8 steps to like why you should journal or something like that. And one thing that he mentioned was that people, I guess he's heard from like doing market research or just hearing feedback from his audience, that people are afraid to journal because they think someone might read it. And when I heard that, I was like, what? Like, that makes no sense. Cause like for me, it's such a private thing. Like I never thought about it, but I think someone who hasn't journaled, they actually might be under the impression that people read it in the future. And I think if that's you, like, just know you do not need to share that. You can go no filter, no one will ever see it. And it'll like, you can bury it with you,
Yeah, I mean, being honest, with me, that's like something that's, I've had to overcome, and really that was a block for me to actually just write it down. I'm like, oh, someone's going to see it. And then it's funny.
Nice.
And then, like, think something about it. But even then, that's something to write down too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Cool, brother. So I want to wrap up here because we're kind of coming to time. I like to keep these nice and short, and this has been so valuable so far. So thank you.
Definitely.
So if you could leave behind 2 things, social media, your awesome TikTok channel, which people should go check out, by the way. We'll do the handles at the end, but if you could leave behind 2 things and you didn't have any legacy to leave, you couldn't leave it behind on TikTok, what would be 2 things that you would leave behind, like 2 ideas or 2 words, 2 phrases for the entire world?
Okay. That's a good one. I'd say like follow your heart, trust your intuition, kind of, like just go for what you feel is resonating with you. Just even if it doesn't, this is kind of longer, but in short, go for it. Go follow your heart and trust your intuition. Go for what you feel, even if it might not logically make sense to you or people around you. Trust that feeling, because it will take you, to very beautiful places. So that's one. And 2, I would say, like what kind of came up earlier, relating to self-love, be your best friend. Just be there for yourself, like, and just, I think a lot of times, a lot of us kind of are over, like with me, definitely, like, too hard on ourselves, and just be nicer. Yeah. Just to be nicer to ourselves and there for ourselves, knowing we're doing the best we can.
Oh man, that's beautiful. I think that's so valuable. Definitely hit home again for me, like a lot of stuff that you've shared. Thank you, Andrew, so much, man. Like, there's some people that I'll interview and I don't feel as calm and confident, and you've seriously given off that vibe for me, man. You've made it really easy for me. Super nice to chat with you, brother. You have this awesome like energy about you. I totally see why you're into healing, man. Totally get it.
Thank you. I appreciate your energy too. It's awesome.
Thank you, brother. How was that podcast? Pretty good, right? I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I'm super glad that you guys are here. I'm very grateful that you guys are here. We are putting our all into this content. Me, Alex, Erik, everyone at the Self-Love Fitness Project, we're putting our heart and our soul into this company, into this community. And we're just so happy that you're along for the ride. And we are just, we're very grateful for you. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you at the next one. Drop a comment, drop a like. Please support us. We really appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next episode. See you there.